Good morning, everybody. Good to see a crowd of smiling faces, and hopefully he's woken you all up. Okay, so when I'm in an institution like this, I remember my college days. There are few standout memories I have, and when I say few, I actually mean one. You see, I used to relish my days sitting in the back bench. I was a backbencher throughout, right? And when I sat on the last bench, there was this beautifully ornate, engraved, painstakingly drawn tombstone on the last bench. A long tombstone. And it had a message on it, an epitaph. And it read this: in loving memory of all those who died waiting for the class bell to ring. And I completely resonated with that, right? And it didn't stop there. I remember in the restroom, right deep inside where it really mattered, it said, flush twice. It's a long way to the blackboard. Right? So, and it wasn't a one-off thing. It happened year after year. It became a culture thing, to put these messages up, to keep these tombstones alive, pun intended, right? So, by the time I left college, I remember that the last few benches looked like a full-blown cemetery. But I'm not here to talk about tombstones or cemeteries. I'm here to ask the question, why is there such a mind death in a learning environment, in a classroom? And here is a report I came across, which was a study done in Indiana University in the United States. Here, there was a survey done with high school students to study their interest levels. And it was astounding. 2/3 of every classroom, 66% of the high school students said that they were bored at least every day. And if you read this report, there is more horrifying details to it, right? So and the reason why I chose this report to talk in this TEDx event was because this is one of the most comprehensive studies done for interest levels in the classroom. It was done over 100 plus schools, over 27 states in the United States, and it is very representative of any Asian classroom, particularly an Indian classroom. I know because I'm a living example of the boredom that they're talking about. So on the one hand, we are up against huge boredom in the classroom. For a moment, let me just keep that aside and talk about content, learning content, knowledge, right? Even from my college days, I remember there was tons of information available freely. Textbooks, guides, learner CDs, right? And now with the coming of the internet, it has exponentially risen. There is enough and more information available, content available everywhere. In fact, out of curiosity, I did a Google search, how to solve a binomial equation. 4 lakh plus results. And because it's Google in 0.42 seconds, right? So imagine the kind of content available online, and then I did a check on how many textbooks are there in algebra, which would anyway talk about binomial equations. 4,600 algebra textbooks. The point is, content is available on the one hand, everywhere, right? And on the other hand, you have a learner, and there is a classroom in which this learning content has to be assimilated with the learner. But that is where there is a great, great divide. There is huge boredom that exists. This content is unappealing. It's like a room full of goodies which is waiting to be discovered, waiting to be learned, waiting to be curious about, waiting to be taught. But it's inside 4 dreadful walls with a very boring door right in front of it, locked. And I don't want to look inside. I'm not motivated to look inside. It's just too boring. All those precious learning material is locked up, not good for a learner. Right? So the overarching question is, how can we make this content more lovable, more appealing to the learner? I'd like you to hang on to that question while I narrate a contemporary version of a very famous Aesop fable. Stay with me. It was a very, very hot day. It was blistering hot and I was burning up inside. I was feeling terrible. You know, lying in the corner of a street on any given day is not an ideal spot, and definitely not today with the sun acting up. Oh, I was feeling like barbecue inside. And as I was wallowing around in frustration, I suddenly saw two humans walking down the road with their heads bent and sweat streaming down their faces. And I began to wonder, what would it be, how would it be if I could sweat, if I could cool off sweating? But here I was dry and I wished I could cry. And as I lay around like this complaining, I suddenly heard a call. Caw! Oh, there she was. There she was, the blackbird. What was she doing? Oh, she looked upset. Very upset indeed. And she was going around in circles. I wondered why. But then I let it pass. You see, I noticed a lot of women go around in circles when they are thinking in their thoughts. I thought I'd let it pass. But then, suddenly, this lady started to fly towards me and closer. Did she hear me? I wonder. And she came right at me. Oh gosh! And I suddenly felt roughed up. And then, weightless. I was off the ground. I was picked up. This was my first time ever off the ground. This felt so good. I could look upon the earth from up above. Oh, in the beak of this bird, it felt so good. Have you ever flown crow? Probably not. I hear humans have stopped flying kingfisher. But flying this crow is really, really good. It's wonderful. Makes me feel so good. I wanted to sing. Ude khule आसमां में ख्वाबों के परिंदे उड़े दिल के जहां में ख्वाबों के परिंदे ओ क्या पता जाएंगे कहाँ. As I let this song wash over me, I felt so good. Life could be like this. But then suddenly, no, life could not be like that. Because I saw that she'd swooped down all the way, carried me all the way down, and oh no, my first flight was coming to an end. Oh gosh, I thought, as she just dropped me like a stone. But that's who I am, a stone. She dropped me right inside, plop! I went to the bottom of a pitcher with very little water. But water. On this hot day, this water felt good. Oh yeah, it did. Humans tell me they go to the beach to feel like this. Oh, I was feeling so good. I wanted to thank this black lady for giving me 2 good experiences in a row. And as I looked up, oh, there were more stones falling down. More of my friends joining me. It was like a stone reunion. And we did a good team huddle together. We felt all good. And that's when I noticed the water, which was right above me, seems to have risen all the way to the top. There she was. Oh my gosh. It's reached to the top and she took a gulp of water and she felt so good. She let out a victorious caw! And we were all happy. We broke into another happy song as I looked at the deep blue sky through the water above me. आज blue है पानी 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 दिल भी sunny 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 as you're on the beach yari. And that's how they all lived another happy day together. Thank you for listening. There are 2 reasons why I chose this story to tell you. Reason 1 is because with 100% certainty, I knew that each one of you had heard the story at least once. And the name of the story is The Thirsty Crow. Thank you. Yeah, you're all knowledgeable geniuses. And reason number 2, I decided to tell the story was because I wanted to underpin how a simple story such as The Thirsty Crow, which has been heard 1,000,000 times in households and classrooms and boardrooms, and I'll talk about it a little bit. So the reason why the story appealed to each one of you, I know it did. The reason why it did was not just because you're a great audience, thank you, you are a great audience, but it's also because you are multi-intelligent. You see, Howard Gardner, a great scientist, in the early 80s, propounded the theory of multiple intelligence. It's a pretty complex theory, but for the relevance of this talk, simplistically put, he suggests that each one of us has been bestowed with a blend of distinguishable intelligences as against a single unilateral intelligence that was earlier thought to be. So he suggests a blend of 8 distinguishable intelligences: musical, linguistic, intrapersonal, naturalistic, right? And this blend of intelligences, each of us has a few dominant ones versus few which are not so dominant. And that is different for each one of us. And when we appreciate that we have a room full of people who have different intelligences, then I can narrate a story to you which has incorporated some or more of these intelligences. A story which is musical, a story which is intrapersonal, a story which is naturalistic, or a story which is logical, will appeal to every listener whose dominant intelligence is aligned with this intelligence. And that is why this story appeals to each one of you. Your dominant intelligence kicks in. And you identify with it, you connect with it, you want to hear it. But you might ask me, so what has this story got to do with learning? Right? And I'm going to introduce you to a new dimension of how a simple story can be made into a learning experience in a multifaceted manner. Right? So this simple story of The Thirsty Crow can be used to trigger thought, to trigger learning, and to trigger a discussion in a topic such as water conservation or ecological balance. The same thirsty crow can be used to trigger thought and learning in a life skill such as perseverance or crisis management. The black lady was pretty good at managing her crisis. Or perseverance, she never gave up, did she? The same thirsty crow, that simple thirsty crow, can be used to trigger discussion, learning, and thought in the concept of the Archimedes principle of buoyancy and displacement. Wouldn't you agree? I wonder where Dr. Parameshwaran is. So, you see, a story such as this can be used to trigger thought and learning of how that water gets displaced when you drop that stone inside. The point is, Archimedes' principle is learning content. It's knowledge. That's here to stay, for good. It's a constant. When I say Archimedes' principle, it is symbolic of any learning content. It could be the Harvard business theories. It could be ABC. It could be any scientific theory. It could be any theory about how the apocalypse will happen. And the learner. There is never going to be a dearth of learners. That's another constant. You will keep having content, you will keep having learners. But when you make this content rich, multi-intelligent, and package it as a story, that learner comes closer to this content. And you're bridging the gap between the content and the learner. So if you use a story, a simple story can be used to plug in different content based on the way you tell the story. And that same story can be told by using multiple intelligences. And by doing this, you bring the learner closer to the content. I like to call stories the pheromones of learning. It attracts the learner irresistibly to the content. It makes learners go like this towards content. And I can tell you because I have done enough research to know that it does. And I'm not talking about just the classroom. The same logic will fulfill in a boardroom or a classroom or any corporate space or inside a lab. So I will end with this. Once I met a very flamboyant businessman in an airport in San Francisco, and he was sitting by my side. And he was so stylish, I couldn't take my eyes off him, but we were headed different destinations. There was one thing we had in common: passion. His passion for cigars, my passion for stories. And we sat and we chit-chatted about this and that, and I was most willing. And then I saw him put his hand inside his pocket and pull out a beautiful looking Cuban cigar. Clearly an expensive, wonderful, intricate looking Cuban cigar. And he took it, looked at it lovingly, passionately, and he brought it to his nose. And he took a great whiff of it, inhaled, and then he said something to me I will never forget. He said, when it comes to a cigar, it's not the tobacco, but the wrapper that's the most precious. It gives character, flavor, color, even the name to the Cuban cigar, and I noted it was a deep green color. You see, sometimes the wrapper is so exquisite, it makes what's inside more valuable. To me, stories and storytelling are like the wrappers to the cigar. They give character, flavor, and appeal to content, to learning content. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's go and wrap it all up. Thank you.